Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a first impression follow-up video. I am not sure why I've never done this before, but you guys have been requesting it. So I do a lot of first impressions here on this channel and I really enjoy doing them. There's so many new products that I get and it's an easy way for me to show you guys 5 to 10 different products, how they apply, demo them. But I haven't followed up, and I think it's because I thought maybe it'd be a little bit boring because I don't change my mind that much. I pulled a bunch of products and there's about 30 products that I want to talk about following up on my first impression. So I'm going to continue to do these if you guys enjoy them. Please comment down below if you enjoy them. If there's something in particular that you really want me to follow up on, leave a comment down below. That's going to help me out. Give me thumbs up and let me know that this is something that you want me to do regularly on my channel. First up, I want to talk about the Huda Beauty new nude palette. First of all, I love the packaging. I did a first impressions with this and I have to say it was one of my favorite looks that I've done in quite a while. This palette is great quality. So the mattes blend beautifully. They don't, get choppy. They don't stick in certain areas. I'm not too into these pressed glitters. I think it's just better off just to use regular glitters. And I do not like the concealer thing in here. It's quite sheer. I don't know if you can see, but there's not pigment, so I would not cut my crease with this. But other than that, the shimmers truly are super intense, fantastic. They look beautiful on the lid and the mattes blend beautifully. Now another thing I want to note is it is pricey and I feel like you're limited in terms of what kind of looks you can do. It's very monochromatic. It's all gonna look very similar, like that mauve-y, pinky, purpley look. So you're kind of limited in the sense that you can't really take this in different directions. You're really kind of stuck with these colors. But if you love this color scheme, this is a great quality palette. I would recommend it, but you have to know that all of your looks are gonna look very similar, very romantic, maybe bridal. Very pretty, but very similar. Next up, I wanted to give an update on the Reezy highlighter with Anastasia Beverly Hills. I have to say the presentation is absolutely stunning. When I first got this, I bought it the first round and I was like, I wasn't really into it. Then I started using it more when everybody was hyping it up and I started to enjoy it a little bit more. But I do find that on my skin, it's not as intense as it appears on other people. When I think of like crazy intense, I'm thinking of like Artist Couture loose highlighters, or I'm thinking of the Physicians Formula butter highlighters. Those are crazy intense. This is not quite there, but this is a pretty color. I don't know if I would see this working super well on very fair skin tones. I feel like the deeper the skin tone, the more this would pop. So while I do like it, I'm not running out to get a backup. I do use it occasionally, but it's not like in my top favorites go-to. So I would say if you're a medium tan skin tone, I think you would enjoy it. But some people are really like going insane over it and I'm just not one of those people. I think it's good, but it's not amazing. Next up, I did use this True Match L'Oreal Super Blendable Concealer. I really like this. This has become one of my favorites from the drugstore. I do actually like that it has a sponge tip on the end. This one is quite flimsy, but I just like that it's easy. I can kind of twist it up, apply it, and go. This is a very moussey formula. It has a good medium to full coverage. I noticed that I use this a lot on my natural days, popping the cap off and just going with it, and it gives me a nice smooth coverage. So I would recommend this if you were eyeing it or you wanted to try a new drugstore concealer. This is one of my favorites. So I also did use this Lancome Blur and Go stick. This was sent to me quite a while ago. I've used this probably 20 or 30 times, so I have used it, and I will say I like the convenience of it. It sits well under makeup. I twist it up and just apply it, and I typically do take my fingers and kind of blend it in. It is smoothing, but it's not the most smoothing that I've ever seen. So if you have like intense pores, I don't know if this would get you where you want to be. It is good for every day, again, the convenience factor, but it is pricey. It is not in like my top 2 favorites. So while I like it, it's not something that I'm going crazy over. Again, I do reach for it, but it's just kind of in the okay category. I feel like the bar is set really high, and with all these new releases, it's got to really like blow my mind for me to be like, this has replaced, something else, or this has replaced something else. So while I do use it because it was sent to me, I wouldn't tell you to go run out and buy buy it. I think it is good quality, but I think you can get better options for, you know, the similar price or even lower priced. Speaking of something that I purchased myself and I fell in love with, and you can see from the tube, now this is a Summer Fridays jet lag mask, and I got this a while ago. This was in a First Impressions a while ago. So I have been told you can use this as a mask, putting a thick layer on. You can either leave it on or wipe it off with a tissue and leave the residue, or you can use this as a moisturizer, and that is the way that I use it. This is beautiful under makeup, and it's very hydrating. A little goes a long way. This is 2.25 ounces. I've had this for probably 6 months, and I'm about halfway through. So I really enjoy this. It just sits beautifully under makeup. It doesn't irritate. It's not heavily fragranced, and it's just a thick moisturizer that gives me hydration but doesn't make me greasy. So that's what I enjoy about it. It doesn't irritate my skin. Highly recommend. This is something that would be top drawer that I would take as a moisturizer to use under my makeup when I'm traveling. So highly recommend. This is like a really good favorite. In a video in the past, I did use this J1 Red Jelly Pack Makeup Primer Anti-Aging Serum. Okay, so this, when you apply it, is insanely sticky and it's dewy. It gives you a pretty dewy look, but it's insanely sticky. So I'm talking when you apply it, you can take your hands and it is like, it's like kind of like glue on your face. So you would think that it would grab onto your foundation, which I think it does. I do think it prolongs my foundation, but this makes me oily. And I don't know, anywhere like down in this region, I cannot get oily because that's when I will get cystic acne. So I find myself not reaching for it because after a few hours, I feel like I'm starting to get greasy, like where I need to blot in areas that I never need to. So jury is still out on this one for me. I feel like if you have dry skin, you probably would really enjoy this. I'm combo, so I'm a little bit iffy on it. It is tacky. If you love a tacky primer, you want to try something similar to like the Sisley primer that everybody was talking about. They're both in that gel consistency and they're insanely sticky. This is even stickier, I would say. So if you want to try something that's going to really grab onto your foundation, you can try this, but it doesn't smooth and it just makes me a little bit greasy after a few hours. So I don't love it. I'm not going to get rid of it just yet, but I feel like maybe trying it with like an insanely matte foundation, it would work better for me. Next up, I have a powder from Milani, and this is the translucent light to medium powder. This is, what is it called? It's the setting powder, Make It Last setting powder. I actually like this. I keep it top drawer. I would say it's comparable to like the Coty Airspun or Maybelline Fit Me with less coverage, but I don't find that it accentuates my pores. It might be a little bit drying. If you have dry skin, you might not love this. Again, I'm combo. It does keep me matte, and it says it's going to. It says ultra fine, non-chalky, smooth the lines of imperfections. I think it does smooth, so I do like it. It's not my favorite powder ever, but I am quite picky. There's about 15 powders that I keep in rotation, so there's so many options, but if you're on a budget, I think you would really enjoy this one. Next up, I did try this Fresh Beauty Vitamin Nectar Glow Water. Okay, so this comes in a small size and I think a larger size if I'm not mistaken, and I really like this. This is not a typical spray. It's very fine. I don't know if you can see. So it's a really fine mist. It looks like it's going to be aerosol, but it's not. I like this. The smell is nice. It's citrus. This really melds your powders in, but this is insanely pricey. So if you're someone that has money to blow and you like, you know, high-end makeup, I think you would really enjoy this. I really like the product, but I just have a hard time recommending it because I feel like you get a similar effect with this. Would be like similar to the Pixie Glow Tonic, just the way that it looks on the skin. Similar maybe to the Morphe spray, but the Morphe has a little bit more glycerin, a little bit more make your makeup last, where this is really just hydrating. It's like a light hydrating, maybe like a MAC Fix Plus kind of thing. So I don't think this is going to prolong your makeup. It's just going to give you like a nice melt into the skin. But it is so pricey. It's hard for me to say, go out and get it. And I don't think I've used it on my channel because it's just overpriced in my opinion. So while I do like it, I just think it's a little bit hefty on the price tag. So unless you're like a luxury queen, I don't think you should spend your money on it. So next up, I have this lipstick from KKW that I purchased in the shade Nude 2. And I just have to say that something about this I don't love. It's pigmented and, you know, it goes on the lips fine, but I just don't have any lasting power with this. I feel like I got a ring in the middle of my mouth with this. I love her glosses. Lipsticks, not so much. I think it's fine, but it doesn't make me want to go out and purchase more lipsticks in particular from her. So if you're eyeing her lipsticks, I would say skip that and go for maybe Charlotte Tilbury. Charlotte Tilbury kills it on lipsticks. There's something about it that it's okay, but again, I've only reached for it maybe 4 or 5 times. It's not blowing my mind. The color's not blowing my mind. And I just don't really love the formula, so it's just kind of like an product for me. Wanted to update you guys on the Jouer Essential, is it called the Essential Coverage? Yeah, Essential Coverage Liquid Concealer. So I have the shade Creme Cafe, and I think it's a little bit of a weird shade for me, and I think maybe that's part of the reason why I just don't love it. It is a good coverage, but for some reason, it's just not my favorite. I've seen a lot of people raving about it, so I don't think you can go wrong. Like, I don't think you'll get it and hate it, but it's not blown me away like my Huda Beauty has or my Tarte Shape Tape. Something about it, and it could just be the shade. I don't find it as smoothing as the others. I notice if I pull it down, I get a little bit of like pore action right here, and that's something that I have to be wary of. So it is high coverage. I feel like it's a good value. You do get quite a bit in here, but I'm just not blown away by it. I would use it like on a lazy day, but when I'm thinking of like the best of the best, I'm not reaching for this. So I would say it's like a B, but there's some that are like an A minus, A plus, and this is just not it for me. Wanted to update you guys on the NARS Hot Tryst palette. First of all, the packaging is absolutely the best of the year. They killed it. This looks expensive. It's just eye-catching. I think the packaging is absolutely insane. And then you get 4 blushes and 2 highlighters in here. I am so torn on this palette, you guys, because when I look at this palette, I'm drawn to it and I want to use it and it's so beautiful. But when I put the blushes on, I don't know if it's the tones, but they just don't wow me. They're just kind of like not the colors that I think look good on my skin. They have a little bit of shimmer to them, which I typically am not quite into. And the highlights are just kind of odd shades. I like the pink one better. The gold one, it's like almost a grayish. It's almost like an ashy color. It just doesn't look right. So I think this is a beautiful palette, but it's more beautiful looking at it than it is on the skin. I just don't know if it's like one of my favorites. I feel like every time I reach for it, I'm kind of let down, like I want to apply a different blush. So it's just not my favorite. It's beautiful and the packaging is beautiful, but the colors are just not my jam. Now about a blush palette that I do like, and I like all of Tarte blush palettes. This is the Tarte's Pro and Glow Blush, wait, what the hell? Pro Glow and Blush palette. These are much more my speed. These colors are like bubblegum, pinky, coral, bright, summery. So I really like this. The bronzer, I mean, I think it's fine. It does have some glitter in it. I don't mind that. Highlight is quite nice in here. It is a powder formula, so you're gonna wanna buff it in and it kind of melts in. The only shade I would not use is this really shimmery deep shade, but I really do like this. This is something I would recommend along with really any of the blush books or blush, you know, palettes from Tarte. I really kind of like them all. They really excel in blushes. They're some of my favorites. And I think for me, it comes down to the color choices in here are just a little bit more wearable for more people. So I would recommend this one. Even though the NARS one is so beautiful to look at, this is prettier when you apply it. Now I want to talk about some products that I decluttered because I just literally did not like them. They were not working for me, and I'm going to tell you why. So first of all, the worst was the Becca Skin Love Foundation. When I saw that, I thought it's gonna be dewy, it's gonna be light, it's going to be beautiful. I thought it would be like maybe the Dior Backstage. Very just like medium coverage, glowy, but not greasy. I absolutely hated it. It made my pores look massive. It felt like even after I set it, if I went like this, like a big hunk would come off. Like, it was grossing me out wearing it. I just felt like I had a sticky, thick, like I had smeared peanut butter on my face. Absolutely did not like it. I didn't even try it a second time, so I can't even give you like a full review because I knew from the second I put that on that it was absolutely a no-go. I decluttered it immediately and I would not recommend it. A product that I used a few times and I just didn't really love. I think in my first impression I thought that it was okay. I wasn't hating it. It didn't, you know, smear off after a couple hours. But upon wearing it a few weeks in, I felt like my texture wasn't looking as smooth. It wasn't as long lasting as I wanted. And it really just wasn't doing anything better than my double wear or my favorites. And that would be the Maybelline Super Stay. I think that's what it's called. The stick foundation. I just did not love it. I didn't think it was terrible. It was okay, but really in my collection, I'm now not keeping stuff that's just okay, specifically like concealers, foundations, powders. I'm quite picky with that. I don't want to have a huge collection. I used to love having like Alex drawers from IKEA just full of makeup, and now it's giving me anxiety. Stuff is going to waste, it's expiring, so I just decluttered it. It was the one that had like a sponge on the one side and then a stick on the other. While I think it's okay, I feel like there's just better options, and I just noticed after wearing it a few weeks, I was like, this isn't looking good. Like I had a few days where I thought like this doesn't look as good as I thought, or maybe it didn't wear. I felt like my texture looks kind of bad. So it just wasn't as smoothing, or it wasn't wowing me. It was just kind of like, oh, it's here, but I'm not reaching for it. So I decluttered that. I wouldn't recommend it. I just don't think that it's like the best option. Even for drugstore, I feel like there's a lot better foundations. Another product you saw me struggling with when I tried it on my video was the Benefit Brow Pen. It was the one that clicked up like 4 different shades or 5 different shades. I could not get the hang of that because of how thick it was. I'm used to holding a very thin pencil that's very precise, and that one was quite a bit thicker. I felt like I just didn't have control, and it was quite a bit like slicker. So the Benefit Precisely My Brow is almost waxy. It kind of drags and I can get a really sharp line. Whereas the, I don't know what it was called, but the Contour Pen, it was just like it slid around. It was like sliding around everywhere, smearing. I just didn't feel like I had control. I felt like my brows looked really messy. They looked really sloppy. I really just didn't like it. I gave it a go a few more times after that video just in my daily life, and every single time I was like, I can't do this. I can't get the hang of it. It's just not something that I want to use. I think if you have really big bushy brows, it might be okay for you, but for someone like me, I need precision, and it just wasn't working for me. So unfortunately, it's just not something that I would ever use again, so I actually decluttered it. And then the last product that I did not like, I did try it a couple more times and I absolutely hated it, and that was the Lawless foundation. I really just didn't like it. It felt very similar to me to the Becca in terms of how heavy it was, and it did that weird accentuating my pores, almost like there's a film, like if you were to wipe your face right here, it would just gunk up like an oily pore accentuating foundation. It just did not work for me, and I've seen it look beautiful on other people. I'm not sure if it's because it's more of a natural foundation, so there's like oils in there that made it very greasy and just accentuated my texture, but I just didn't like it. I know I didn't like it in the video. I don't think I liked it in the video. I thought it looked quite heavy, and it was even worse when I tried it the couple other times, so I ended up returning it. I was really disappointed because I was like, ooh, full coverage. I thought I was gonna love it, and I just really didn't like it at all. So my thoughts were still the same. I would not recommend it. I don't know who it would be good for, because for me, if you have any texture or pores, it was absolutely like not a good look. Alright guys, so that concludes my part 1 of first impression follow-up. Let me know if this was helpful to you. I'm looking for stuff that works. I'm looking for a foundation that lasts, that makes my skin look smooth. I'm looking for concealer that covers. I'm looking for brow products that make it easy. I'm looking for eyeshadows that are pigmented and metallic and they blend. So I'm looking for, you know, the basics here, and if something doesn't work for me, it just doesn't work for me, and I pretty much know from the get. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. If you guys want any more information or you have any questions, leave them down below. I have a whole another list of products I have to go through, but I didn't want this video to be crazy long, so hopefully I gave you some follow-up reviews that helped you out if you were kind of eyeing something. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave any comments you have down below, and I'll see you in the next video.